If you thought Michael Thomas was going to play for another team this fall, think again. He's coming back to the Saints. Let's talk about his deal and why this is great news for New Orleans.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What's up, HOODA Nation? Welcome back inside another video from the Straight Up Saints podcast presented by Boot Krewe Media. The Saints got a deal done with Michael Thomas today to ensure that he'll be back for the 2023 season, and this is something that's kind of been brewing for the last couple of days. You go back to Derek Carr's press conference over the weekend, spoke about Michael Thomas as if he was a player that was going to be back next season. Now we know that he is going to be back, and I absolutely love this move for the New Orleans Saints. Now I know there's going to be some pushback to this, right? Michael Thomas hasn't played a lot of games. In fact, he's played 3 games over the last 2 seasons. So you're going to talk about the injuries. You're going to talk about whether it's time to move on. I get that. And I do think that at some level, there is a risk of bringing back Michael Thomas, but it's a new deal. You're ripping up the old deal, and it's a 1-year, $10 million contract with the chance to earn $15 million if he plays like Michael Thomas. And guess what? It's all about health with whether or not you're going to get Michael Thomas production. Just remember what he did week 1, those 2 touchdowns against the Falcons, just absolutely dominated them from start to finish against a very good quarterback in A.J. Terrell. He looked outstanding. And even think about week 2 and week 3, what he was able to do. He looked like the wide receiver 1. You know, we talk about Chris Olave. We talk about Rashid Shaheed, rookie wide receivers that stepped up to the plate. And I think they're going to do great for the Saints, not just next year, but the following years after that. Michael Thomas is still, from a talent perspective, from a production standpoint, when he's on the field, the best wide receiver they have. So I think this is a smart move for them. He's going to work well with Derek Carr if he stays healthy. And I'll continue to say if, and I understand that it's a big proponent to all of this, but let's not act like Michael Thomas still isn't that dude when he is on the field. And I think that's important. And I think it's also important to look at the wide receiver market. This is a really, really, really thin market. Jakobi Meyers, top receiver on the market, 3-year, $33 million, average of $11 million. Michael Thomas is a lot better than Jakobi Meyers. And I'm not going to knock Jakobi Meyers. I want every NFL player to go get their money because you never know when your career is going to end. They deserve it. So I can't knock Meyers. But compare an all-pro to Jakobi Meyers, it's a little bit different. And one's really primarily a slot. One's just an all-around wide receiver, one who's a dominant possession receiver when he has to be. And I really just love this move. And I won't stop saying how much I like this move because Michael Thomas, yes, there's injury concerns, but he's an elite competitor. He is a perfect schematic fit with a guy like Derek Carr who wants to use the middle of the field, will definitely take advantage of those quick, short passes that he can. And I think for the Saints, when you acquire Derek Carr, you signal that you're going for it. Why would you go for it and then all of a sudden be like, all right, yeah, we can't work something out with Michael Thomas? That doesn't make any sense to me. And to get this done now on a Tuesday, when you have the rest of the week now to focus on D-line, to focus on running back, and not have to worry about, oh man, we're coming up on that deadline on the 3rd day of the league year, which would be Friday, of guaranteeing a lot of money, $30+ million to Michael Thomas. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So this is going to help your cap situation. In theory, it's definitely going to help your receiving core if he's healthy. And the third part, you're going to make your new quarterback happy, knowing that Michael Thomas is going to be in the building and the fact that they clicked so early on. I love this move. And I know that we'll talk about the negatives if he gets hurt again. But the positive to that part, if God forbid he does get hurt, is knowing that it's a 1-year deal. So it's basically Saints are trying this one more time with Michael Thomas. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, damn, but at least they gave it a shot. And while we're at it, I've been very critical of Dennis Allen. Let's give Dennis Allen and the coaching staff a little bit of credit for 2 years in a row fixing their situation with Michael Thomas. They deserve a little bit of credit for that. And that's coming from me, someone who's been a little bit critical. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about this move. Are you excited that Michael Thomas is back in the black and gold? What are your expectations for number 13 now that he's sticking around with one more season? And we'll see what happens. But I think this is good news for the Saints. Now you turn the focus over to improving the rest of the roster. And when that happens, and I'm sure it will, I'll be here to cover it on the Straight Up Saints podcast.